The transport ship docked with a metallic clang that echoed through the airlock. Dae-ho grabbed his bag and stepped onto the Galactic Coalition station for the first time. The corridor stretched before him, wider than any hallway on Earth, with walls that glowed softly with blue light. He had seen pictures, read reports, but nothing prepared him for actually being here. "Welcome to Talvera Station," a mechanical voice announced in perfect Korean. Then it repeated in 6 other languages he didn't recognize. Dae-ho walked slowly, his boots making soft sounds on the smooth floor. Other beings moved past him. A creature with 4 arms and purple skin nodded as it passed. Something that looked like a floating jellyfish drifted by overhead. He tried not to stare, but everything was so new, so strange. His assignment was simple: fix gravity systems for 6 months, then go home. He was an engineer, not a diplomat. He liked machines better than people anyway. Machines made sense. They followed rules. The station was enormous. It housed representatives from 40 different alien species, all working together in the coalition. Humans were still the newcomers, the youngest species to join. Only 50 years had passed since first contact, and Earth was still figuring out its place among the stars. Dae-ho found his quarters easily enough. The room was small but comfortable, with a bed, a desk, and a window showing the moon below. He unpacked his clothes, his tools, his pictures from home. Everything had to be perfect. He wanted to make a good impression. 3 days later, the station held a diplomatic reception. Dae-ho didn't want to go, but his supervisor insisted. "You need to meet people," she said. "Build relationships. We're all one team here." So he put on his nicest clothes: black pants, a white shirt, dress shoes. He checked himself in the mirror. Everything looked fine. Professional, clean. The reception hall was massive, with high ceilings and tables full of food from dozens of worlds. Dae-ho stayed near the wall, holding a drink he wasn't actually drinking. He watched the crowd, trying to identify different species. That's when he noticed them watching him. 2 females stood across the room, both staring directly at him. One had green scales covering her body, with golden eyes that didn't blink. The other had a hard, shiny exterior that reminded him of an insect, with multiple arms folded across her chest. Dae-ho looked away quickly. Maybe they weren't actually looking at him. Maybe they were looking at something behind him. But when he glanced back, they were still staring. Now they were talking to each other, gesturing in his direction. He felt his face grow warm. What was wrong? Did he have food on his shirt? Was his hair messy? A human medic named Ji-woo appeared at his elbow. "Don't worry about them," she said quietly. "That's Nari and Hana. They're scientists. They stare at everyone." "Why are they staring at me specifically?" Dae-ho asked. Ji-woo smiled. "Because you're human. We're still exotic here. I don't want to be a specimen. Too late." "We all are." The 2 alien women started walking toward them. Dae-ho fought the urge to run. Nari reached them first. She was tall, taller than Dae-ho, with scales that shimmered in the light. Her mouth was wider than a human's, filled with small, sharp teeth. "Hello," she said in accented but clear Korean. "You are the new engineer, Dae-ho?" "Yes, yes," he managed. "That's me. I am Nari. I study biology. Different species. How they work." She gestured to her companion. "This is Hana. She studies cultures." Hana's voice was higher, almost musical. "Pleased to meet you. We have questions about humans." "Oh," Dae-ho said. "Okay. I guess I can try to answer." "Why do you wear so many coverings?" Nari asked immediately. Dae-ho blinked. "What?" "Your body. You cover it with layers. Fabric on your legs, fabric on your torso, fabric on your feet." Nari tilted her head. "Why?" He looked down at his clothes. "These are just normal clothes. Everyone wears clothes. Not everyone, Hana said. My species grows natural armor. We need no coverings. Nari's species has scales. Many species wear minimal clothing, or none at all. Oh, Deho said again. He felt very aware of his clothes suddenly. Humans need clothes. For temperature control. And for protection. But you are inside a climate-controlled station, Nari pointed out. Temperature is not an issue here. Yet, you still wear many layers. Jiwoo was trying not to laugh. Deho shot her a look. It's cultural, he explained. Humans wear clothes for privacy too. Not just for practical reasons. Privacy. Nari repeated, as if testing the word. You hide your body for cultural reasons. Yes. Interesting. Nari exchanged a look with Hana. What are you hiding? Deho felt his face growing hot again. I'm not hiding anything. It's just what humans do. But you must be hiding something, Hana insisted. Otherwise, why cover it? Jiwoo finally intervened. It's complicated. Human culture has different standards of modesty than most species. Modesty, Nari said. She seemed fascinated by the concept. You feel shame about your natural body? Not shame exactly, Deho said. It's just private. Some things are meant to be private. Which things? Nari asked. Which parts of your body are private? Deho wanted the floor to open up and swallow him. This was not how he expected his evening to go. Well. Certain areas. Which areas specifically? Nari pressed. I have studied human anatomy, but the detailed records are restricted, marked as sensitive cultural material. I do not understand why. Because humans prefer privacy about those topics, Deho said, trying to keep his voice steady. Hana leaned closer. Are human bodies dangerous? Do you have poisonous parts that must be covered? Thanks. No, nothing like that. Then what is the reason? Nari asked. I am a scientist. I study biology. I have seen the bodies of 43 different species. But human bodies remain a mystery because of these cultural restrictions. Other beings had started to notice their conversation. A few moved closer, listening with interest. It's really not that interesting, Deho said. We're just regular beings with regular bodies. Then why the secrecy? Hana asked. It's not secrecy. It's privacy. What is the difference? Deho looked at Jiwoo for help. She shrugged, still amused by the whole situation. Look, he said. Humans evolved with certain cultural practices. Covering our bodies is one of them. It's deeply ingrained in our society. It makes us comfortable. In heaven bodies, under the 21, comfortable, Nari repeated. She made a note on a small device she carried. So the coverings provide psychological comfort, not physical comfort. I guess you could say that. Fascinating. Nari looked at him with those unblinking golden eyes. And underneath the coverings? What is there? Deho's mind went blank. What? Your anatomy. Under the clothes. What? What does it look like? Under the clothes. What does it look like? I'm not answering that question. Why not? It is scientific inquiry. It's personal. How can basic anatomy be personal? All beings have anatomy. It is simply the structure of your physical form. Deho could feel sweat forming on his forehead. Half the room seemed to be watching now. Can we talk about something else? Why? 2. This is most puzzling, Hana said to Nari. He becomes distressed when asked simple questions about his species. Noted, Nari said, making another note. Human discomfort with biological discussion appears genuine and significant. I'm going to go now, Deho announced. Nice meeting you both. He walked away quickly, with Jiwoo following behind him, trying to muffle her laughter. Behind them, he could hear Nari and Hana talking with other aliens, all of them confused and curious about the strange humans and their covered bodies. The news spread through the station faster than Deho expected. By the next morning, everyone seemed to know about the human who got flustered when asked about his body. He couldn't walk down a corridor without getting curious looks from alien beings. "This is a nightmare," he told Jiwoo over breakfast in the human section of the cafeteria. She stirred her coffee and smiled. "You're famous now. The mysterious human. I don't want to be famous. I want to fix gravity systems and be left alone. Too late for that." Daeho spent the next 3 days avoiding the recreation areas. He went to work, returned to his quarters, and stayed there. But he couldn't hide forever. The station had mandatory social hours once a week. Everyone was required to attend for crew morale. So on the 5th day, he found himself back in the recreation hall, sitting in a corner, hoping nobody would notice him. Nari noticed him immediately. She approached with Hana and another alien he hadn't met before. This one had blue skin that seemed to shimmer with inner light, and she moved with a fluid grace that suggested she came from a water world. "Daeho," Nari said, sitting down across from him without asking permission. "We have more questions." "Of course you do," he muttered. The blue alien extended what might have been a hand. "I am Yuna. I study humans specifically. Your species fascinates me." "1. Great," Daeho said, not shaking the offered appendage. He wasn't sure if that was even the right response. Yuna didn't seem offended. She sat down next to Hana. All 3 alien females, now forming a semicircle around him. He felt trapped. "We have discussed your cultural practices extensively," Nari began, "and we have consulted with xenobiologists from 6 different species. None of us understand the logic." "What logic?" Daeho asked. "The logic of hiding your body," Hana said. "We wish to understand the reasoning." Daeho sighed. "I explained this already. It's cultural. It's what humans do." "But why?" Yuna asked. Her voice was like water flowing over stones. "My species has studied humans for 20 years. We have documented thousands of your customs. But this one makes no sense to us." "Not everything has to make sense," Daeho said. "In science, everything makes sense," Nari countered. "There is always a reason. We simply must find it. Maybe the reason is just tradition." "Tradition comes from somewhere," Hana said. "From some original purpose." "What was the purpose?" Daeho shifted in his seat, uncomfortable. "I don't know. I'm an engineer, not a historian." "Then let us approach this scientifically," Nari said. She pulled out her device again. "I will ask direct questions. You will answer yes or no. Simple. I'd rather not. Is your body different from other human bodies?" Nari asked, ignoring his protest. "No. I mean, yes. Everyone's a little different, but basically the same. Are there parts of your body that are dangerous to expose?" "Dangerous? No. Are there parts that are vulnerable to injury?" Daeho hesitated. "Well, yes. But that's true for most body parts. Which parts are most vulnerable?" Nari leaned forward, intensely focused. "I'm not having this conversation." "Why not?" "Because it's private." "You keep using that word," Hana said. "But you do not explain what it means." "Private from whom? From enemies? From friends? From scientists? From everyone," Daeho said. "Some things are just private from everyone except yourself and maybe a partner." "A partner," Yuna repeated. "You mean a mating partner?" "Partner." Daeho felt his face burning. "Can we please talk about something else?" "This is fascinating," Nari said to the others. "The discomfort increases when reproduction is mentioned. There is a connection between body covering and mating practices." "Obviously there's a connection," Daeho snapped. "But I'm not discussing it with you." More aliens had gathered around them now. A tall being with 4 arms, a short one covered in what looked like fur, a floating creature that might have been made of gas. All of them listening with obvious interest. The 4-armed alien spoke up. "In my culture, reproduction is a public celebration. Why do humans hide it?" "We don't hide it exactly," Daeho said, feeling defensive now. "We just keep it private." "There's a difference." "I do not see the difference," the alien said. Humans are weird about bodies, a voice said from the crowd. Daeho turned to see another human. A man he'd met briefly named Tae-min. We always have been. It's just how we are. But why? Nari asked, now directing her attention to Tae-min. There must be an evolutionary reason, Tae-min shrugged. Probably something about vulnerability and protection. Humans had to survive on a dangerous world. We learned to protect our weak spots. Which spots are weak? Nari asked immediately. Not telling you, Tae-min said with a grin. This is obstruction of scientific research, Nari said, frustrated now. This is personal boundaries, Daeho corrected. Hana spoke up. In my species, we have no such boundaries. Our bodies are functional tools. All parts serve a purpose. None are shameful or secret. We mate in communal spaces. We give birth in public. The young watch and learn. It is natural. That's great for your species, Daeho said. Yes. But how different? Yuna asked. That is what we wish to understand. Your basic structure is similar to many species. 2 legs, 2 arms, 1 head. Yet you behave as if your body is somehow unique. It is unique, Daeho insisted. Every species is unique. Show us, Nari said suddenly. The room went quiet. What? Daeho asked. Show us your body. Prove that it is so unique and vulnerable that it must be hidden. Absolutely not. Why not? We are scientists. We have seen countless biological forms. Your body would simply be data. My body is not data, Daeho said, standing up. It's my body. And I'm not showing it to you or anyone else here. Even for science? Nari pressed. Even for science. Even if it would help us understand humans better and prevent future cultural conflicts? Daeho paused. That was actually a good point. But still. No. There are limits. Limits, Nari said, making another note. Humans have strong limits around bodily exposure. Stronger than any other species I have studied. CT 9. Good, Daeho said. Write that down. Make it official. Maybe then everyone will stop asking. We cannot stop asking, Hana said. Questions are how we learn, how we grow, how we understand each other. Then ask different questions, Daeho suggested. Ask me about Earth, about human technology, about our music or food, or anything else. But those things are documented, Yuna said. We can read about them. This mystery about your bodies, this is new. This is interesting. It's not a mystery, Daeho said. It's just privacy. But what are you private about? Nari asked, exasperated now. The question hung in the air. Everyone watched Daeho, waiting for an answer. He looked at all the curious faces around him. Dozens of different species, all confused by something humans took for granted. How could he explain centuries of cultural evolution? How could he make them understand shame and modesty and privacy when their species had never developed those concepts? Under there, he said slowly, is just a human body. Skin and muscle and bone, like most beings. But also under there is vulnerability. And humans learned a long time ago to protect what's vulnerable. Vulnerability, Nari repeated. She looked at Hana and Yuna. He speaks of vulnerability, 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 vulnerability. All beings are vulnerable, Hana said. That is the nature of living flesh. Yes, Daeho agreed. But humans learned to hide our vulnerability, to protect it. It became part of our culture. This is important, Nari said, making furious notes. The coverings are not just physical protection. They are psychological armor. Maybe, Daeho said. I'm not a psychologist either. We need to study this further, Yuna said. Human psychology in relation to physical form. It could reveal much about your species. Study it all you want, Daeho said. Just don't study me. He left the recreation hall with as much dignity as he could manage, aware that everyone was watching him go. Daeho hid in the engineering bay for 2 days. He told himself he was just being efficient, getting work done without distractions. But really, he was avoiding everyone. Ji Woo found him on the 3rd day, wedged behind a gravity generator with a wrench in his hand. You can't hide forever, she said. I can try. They're not trying to hurt you, you know. They're genuinely curious. Daeho emerged from behind the generator, wiping grease from his hands. I know. But it's embarrassing. Having everyone ask about my body. It's weird. Ji Woo sat on a nearby crate. It's only weird because we make it weird. Other species don't have the same hang-ups. Why do we have hang-ups? Daeho asked. That's what I keep wondering. Why are humans so different? You really want to know? Yeah, I do. Ji Woo smiled. Then come with me. I'm giving a presentation tonight. Educational seminar for the station crew. About human evolution and biology. You're doing what? The station commander requested it. After all the confusion, she thought it would help if someone explained human biology officially. Medical perspective. Scientific, but respectful. And you volunteered? I'm the only human doctor here. It's kind of my job. That evening, the main conference hall was packed. Daeho slipped in and found a seat in the back, hoping to remain invisible. He saw Nari, Hana, and Yuna in the front row, along with dozens of other aliens. Even some humans had shown up, curious about what Ji Woo would say. Ji Woo stood at the podium, looking calm and professional. A holographic display floated behind her. Thank you all for coming. She began. I'm here to talk about human biology and evolution. Specifically, I'm going to explain why humans behave the way we do about our bodies. The display showed a rotating image of a human figure, generic and anatomically labeled. First, let's talk about how humans evolved. Ji Woo said, our home world, Earth, is a dangerous place. Extreme weather, predatory animals, disease, natural disasters. Humans survived not because we were the strongest or fastest, but because we were smart and adaptable. The display changed to show various Earth environments, deserts, jungles, Arctic regions. We learned to make tools, to build shelters, to wear clothes for protection against temperature and injury. Clothing became essential to human survival. Nari raised her hand. But that explains practical clothing, not the covering of specific body parts for cultural reasons. Nari, I'm getting to that, Ji Woo said. Let me explain human reproduction. The display changed again. Daeho felt himself tensing, but Ji Woo kept her tone, clinical and educational. Unlike many species, humans have vulnerable external reproductive organs, particularly males. These organs are extremely sensitive to injury and temperature change. Damage to them can mean death of genetic lineage. Evolution made them sensitive so males would protect them. She paused, letting this sink in. Most species here have internal reproduction organs, or armored ones, or ones that can regenerate if damaged. Humans don't have those advantages. Our reproduction organs are exposed and fragile. In 7, the aliens in the audience leaned forward, fascinated now. So humans developed strong protective instincts around these areas. We covered them. We developed cultural taboos about exposing them. We created privacy customs, all to protect our most vulnerable parts. Hana spoke up. But human females also cover themselves. They do not have the same external organs. True, Ji Woo agreed. But human females have a different vulnerability. Unlike most species, human females hide their fertility. You can't tell by looking at a human female whether she's capable of reproduction at any given time. This is unique in nature. Why hide fertility? Yuna asked. Most species advertise it. To attract mates. Humans evolved differently, Ji Woo explained. Hidden fertility led to longer-term pair bonding. Males couldn't just mate during obvious fertile periods. They had to stay with females long-term to ensure successful reproduction. This created strong social bonds. The display showed images of human families, couples, parents with children. These bonds became the foundation of human society. And with those bonds came ideas about privacy, fidelity, and modesty. Covering the body wasn't just practical anymore. It became social, cultural, even sacred in some human societies. Nari stood up. You are saying that human vulnerability created human culture? Partly yes, Jiwoo said. Our physical weaknesses drove us to develop strong social structures, protective behaviors, complex relationships. We had to, because our bodies couldn't protect us alone. Fascinating, Nari murmured. She looked at Daeho in the back row, and he saw something new in her expression. Not curiosity now. Understanding. Maybe even respect, Jiwoo continued. There's more. Human skin is also unusual. We have less body hair than most primates. This made us more vulnerable to sun damage, cold, cuts, and scrapes. So we developed clothing technology earlier than most species develop space travel. Clothing is fundamental to human civilization. Wait. A four-armed alien interrupted. You developed protective coverings before you developed spaceflight? Oh, yes. By thousands of years. That is backwards, the alien said. Most species develop technology for space before they worry about body covering. Most species don't need body covering to survive, Jiwoo pointed out. Humans did. Every human culture, everywhere on Earth, developed some form of clothing independently. It was that essential. She advanced the display to show various traditional human clothes from different cultures. These aren't just fashion, they're survival technology. Each design adapted to specific environments and needs, and over time, they became markers of identity, status, and culture. What we wear defines who we are. Hana tilted her head, thinking. So when we ask humans to remove clothing, we are asking them to remove their identity, their protection, their cultural foundation? Essentially, yes, Jiwoo said. It's not just about showing skin. It's about being vulnerable in a way that goes against millions of years of evolution. The room was silent for a moment, processing this information. Taemin, the other human, spoke from the middle of the room. I never thought about it that way. I just knew I felt uncomfortable, naked, around strangers. But it makes sense. It's evolutionary. Everything about human behavior makes sense, Jiwoo said. Once you understand where we came from, we're not trying to be difficult or mysterious. We're just being true to our nature. Nari raised her hand again. You said human males have vulnerable external organs. How vulnerable exactly? What level of protection is needed? Jiwoo smiled slightly. Very vulnerable. A strong impact can cause severe pain, unconsciousness, even death from shock. Temperature extremes can cause permanent damage. Even tight clothing can cause problems. Human males are essentially walking around with a critical weakness exposed. Yet you survived to reach space, Yuna said. How? By being careful, Jiwoo said. By developing protective gear. By creating social rules about violence. By building a civilization that protected the vulnerable. She paused, then added, and by being tougher than we look. Humans can endure tremendous pain. We have remarkable healing abilities. Our psychological resilience is exceptional. We survive not despite our vulnerabilities, but by working around them. Daeho felt something shift in the room. The aliens weren't looking at humans as strange anymore. They were looking at humans as survivors, as beings who overcame weakness through intelligence and determination. This explains much, Nari said slowly. Human protective instincts. Your defensive behaviors. Your emphasis on privacy and personal space. It all stems from physical vulnerability. Yes, Jiwoo confirmed. Now you understand why Dae-ho reacted the way he did. You weren't just asking about his body. You were asking him to expose his greatest weakness to a room full of strangers. His instincts told him to refuse. Nari turned to look at Dae-ho again. This time, she nodded respectfully. I apologize. I did not understand. I thought it was merely cultural sensitivity. I did not realize it was evolutionary necessity. We all learned something today, Jiwoo said. That's the point of these exchanges. Understanding each other better. Jiwoo Arabid. The Jiwoo Arabid. End heard. Jiwoo Arabid. Jiwoo Arabid. The seminar ended with questions and discussion. Dae-ho slipped out early, but he felt different somehow. Lighter. The mystery was solved. The questions had answers. Maybe now everyone would understand. 3 days after the seminar, Nari found Dae-ho in the station's observation deck. He was watching the stars through the massive window, enjoying a rare moment of peace. May I join you? She asked. Dae-ho gestured to the empty space beside him. Nari stood next to him, silent for a moment. Then she said, I want to apologize properly. Not just as a scientist, but as a person. I made you uncomfortable. I pushed boundaries. I did not understand. I am sorry. It's okay, Dae-ho said. You didn't know, but I should have stopped when you asked me to. Curiosity is not an excuse for disrespect. Dae-ho looked at her. Her golden eyes were sincere. Apology accepted. Numb? Thank you. Nari turned to look at the stars. I have a different question now. If your species is so vulnerable, how did you survive long enough to reach space? Your world is dangerous. Your bodies are fragile. Yet you are here, among the stars, standing equal with species that have natural armor and regeneration. Dae-ho smiled slightly. That's a better question than the last ones. I believe so too. The answer is complicated, Dae-ho said. But basically, humans are stubborn. We don't give up. We can't. Because giving up means death. Tell me more, Nari said. So, Dae-ho told her stories. About human history. About wars fought and survived. About humans living in deserts where nothing should survive. About humans climbing mountains that could kill them. About humans diving into oceans despite not being able to breathe water. About humans pushing their bodies to the limit. Over and over. Just to see what was possible. We invented sports, he said, which are basically controlled ways to hurt ourselves for fun. We jump out of airplanes. We race vehicles at dangerous speeds. We fight each other with rules so nobody dies but everyone gets hurt. It's insane when you think about it. Your species seeks pain? Nari asked, confused. Not pain, exactly. Challenge. We want to test ourselves. To prove we can survive anything. But why? Because we had to, for so long, that it became part of who we are. Nari was making notes again. But this time, Dae-ho didn't mind. These were better questions. Deeper questions. The station alarm interrupted them. A harsh sound that made them both jump. Hull breach, a mechanical voice announced. Section 7. All personnel evacuate to safe zones. Radiation leak detected. Dae-ho's training kicked in immediately. That's the outer ring. Near the solar panels. We must evacuate, Nari said, already moving toward the door. But Dae-ho stopped. Wait. The gravity generators are in Section 7. If they get damaged, half the station loses gravity. That is not our concern right now. Safety first. How long until everyone evacuates that section? Nari checked her device. 17 minutes. All personnel must clear the area before radiation levels become lethal. Lethal for whom? Dae-ho asked. For everyone. The radiation is extreme. Solar flare damage. No species can survive more than 15 minutes of exposure. 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 20. Daeho was already running toward the equipment lockers. He pulled out a radiation suit and started putting it on. "What are you doing?" Nari demanded. "Someone has to patch that breach. And the generators need to be shut down properly or they'll explode. You cannot survive that radiation." "I can survive it long enough," Daeho said. He sealed the suit and checked the oxygen supply. 30 minutes. Enough time. If he was fast. Ji-woo appeared, also suited up. "I'm coming with you." "You don't have to," Daeho said. "I'm the medic. If you get hurt, you'll need me." They ran toward Section 7 together, while everyone else ran the other way. Nari followed, staying just behind the safe line, watching through a reinforced window. The damaged section was chaos. Sparks flew from broken panels, smoke filled the air, and the radiation counter on Daeho's suit immediately started climbing. 10 millisieverts. 20. 30. "We have 12 minutes, Ji-woo said. "Maybe less." They worked fast. Daeho sealed the hull breach with emergency foam, while Ji-woo shut down the gravity generators one by one. Following the shutdown sequence that would prevent explosion, the radiation counter kept climbing. 50 millisieverts. 70. "Daeho," Ji-woo said, her voice strained. "We're approaching dangerous levels." "Almost done," he said, forcing the foam applicator into the last crack. Outside the window, Nari watched with growing horror. Other aliens had gathered, watching the two humans work in conditions that should have killed them minutes ago. "Why are they not dead?" someone asked. "I don't know," Nari said. "By our calculations, they should have collapsed already." The radiation counter hit 150 millisieverts. Then 200. "Last generator," Ji-woo called out. She hit the shutdown sequence. The machine powered down with a grinding sound. "Breach sealed," Daeho confirmed. "Let's go." They ran back toward the safe zone. The radiation counter hit 250 millisieverts. Warning alarms screamed inside their suits. They made it through the safety door just as Daeho's legs gave out. He collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. Manor Personnel 20 through. They made it through the safety door. Ji-woo pulled off her helmet, her face pale but determined. "We did it." "You're both insane," Nari said, rushing to them. "That radiation should have killed you." "It might still kill us," Ji-woo said matter-of-factly. "We'll need medical treatment. But we'll survive." "How?" Nari demanded. "No other species could survive that exposure." Daeho pulled off his helmet, coughing. "Humans evolved under a sun that tried to kill us every day. We developed resistance to radiation. Not immunity, but resistance. Enough to survive short exposures. But that level of exposure will make us sick," Ji-woo interrupted. "We'll need treatment. But we won't die. Humans are hard to kill." Suddenly, debris from the ceiling came loose. A large metal panel fell directly toward Daeho. He couldn't move fast enough. The panel hit him hard, catching him across the lower torso. He cried out in pain and crumpled. "Medical emergency," Ji-woo shouted. "We need a stretcher." Nari helped drag Daeho away from the damaged area. His face was white with pain, and he was clutching his lower abdomen. "That's exactly where you said humans are most vulnerable," Nari said, remembering the lecture. "Yes," Daeho gasped. "Really bad place to get hit." They rushed him to the medical bay. The alien doctors had never treated a human male injury before. They stood around, uncertainly, until Ji-woo took charge. "I'll need assistance," she said to Nari. "You're a biologist. You've studied human anatomy. I need someone who understands the theory, even if you haven't practiced." "I will help," Nari said without hesitation. For the next 2 hours, Nari assisted Ji-woo in treating Daeho's injuries. She saw, finally, what humans looked like beneath the clothes. Not as a curiosity, but as a medical necessity. She saw the vulnerability, the complexity, the delicate structures that kept humans alive. She also saw how much damage Dae-ho had sustained and kept working anyway. The radiation exposure alone should have incapacitated him. The impact injury should have made him unconscious. Yet he had stayed conscious, helped seal the breach, and walked back to safety on his own legs before finally collapsing. Humans are contradictions, Nari said softly as they worked. So vulnerable, yet so resilient. That's what makes us human, Ji-woo replied. When Dae-ho finally woke up, he was in a hospital bed with various monitors attached to him. Nari sat in a chair nearby, watching the monitors with scientific interest. Am I going to die? He asked groggily. No, Nari said. You will recover fully. Though you will be uncomfortable for several days. Story of my life. Dae-ho. Nari said seriously. You saved the station today. You and Ji-woo both. You risked your lives in conditions that would kill any of us within minutes. Someone had to. But why you? Why risk your vulnerable human body? Dae-ho smiled weakly. Because that's what humans do. We see a problem. We fix it. Even if it hurts. Nari looked at him with those golden eyes. And he saw something new there. Not curiosity. Not confusion. Respect. I understand now, she said. What's under there? Under the coverings. Under the vulnerability. There is courage. Dae-ho spent 5 days in the medical bay. The doctors monitored his radiation exposure and treated his injuries. He was bored, uncomfortable, and tired of being poked and prodded. But he was alive, and the station was safe. That was what mattered. Visitors came and went. Ji-woo stopped by every day to check on him professionally and to mock him as a friend. Tae-min brought him snacks from the human section of the cafeteria. Even the station commander visited once to thank him formally for his service. But Nari came most often. She sat beside his bed and asked questions. But different questions now. She asked about Earth, about human culture, about his family back home. She told him about her own world, about her people's history, about what it was like growing up with scales instead of skin. They became friends, slowly. The kind of friendship built on mutual respect and understanding. On the 6th day, Nari arrived with a datapad. I have completed my report, she announced. Report? Dae-ho asked, sitting up carefully in bed. For the Galactic Coalition. A comprehensive study of human biology and culture, specifically regarding body covering practices and the underlying evolutionary reasons. That sounds very official. It is very official, Nari said proudly. It will be distributed to all coalition members, so that no one else makes the mistake I made, so that everyone understands humans better. She handed him the datapad. Dae-ho scrolled through it, reading sections at random. Humans are not weak despite their vulnerability, he read aloud. They are strong because of it. Their physical fragility drove the development of tool use, social bonding, protective behaviors, and innovative thinking. Human civilization exists because humans had to work harder than most species just to survive. Accurate, yes? Nari asked. Yeah, Dae-ho said. Actually, yeah, that's pretty accurate. I also included recommendations, Nari continued. Cultural sensitivity protocols for interacting with humans. Respect for privacy customs. Understanding of protective behaviors. All coalition members will be required to review these protocols. You did all this because you asked me an awkward question? I did this because I realized I was treating you like a specimen instead of a person. And because your species deserves to be understood, not just studied. Dae-ho felt something tight in his chest. Thank you, Nari. That means a lot. It is simply proper science, she said. But her scales flushed a slightly darker green. He was learning to read her expressions now. That was her version of embarrassment. On the 7th day, Dae-ho was cleared to leave the medical bay. A ceremony had been organized in the main hall. He didn't want to go, but Ji-woo insisted. You're a hero, she said. Let them celebrate you. I just did my job. Your job was to fix gravity systems. Risking your life in a radiation zone was way beyond your job, so he attended the ceremony, walking carefully because his injuries still hurt. The hall was packed with beings from dozens of species. Everyone stood when he and Ji-woo entered. The station commander, a tall being with 6 legs and translucent wings, gave a speech about bravery and sacrifice. She presented them both with medals, small pieces of metal that somehow meant they were heroes. Then Hana stood up to speak. "I am a cultural liaison officer," she said. "It is my job to help different species understand each other. I failed in this job when I first met Dae-ho. I treated human customs as obstacles instead of as valid cultural practices. I have learned from this mistake." She turned to face Dae-ho directly. "Humans have taught us that vulnerability is not weakness, that protecting oneself is not cowardice, that privacy is not secrecy. These are lessons my species needed to learn." Yuna spoke next. "I have studied humans for many years," she said, her voice like flowing water. "But I studied facts and data. I did not understand the heart of humanity until I watched Dae-ho and Ji-woo walk into danger to save others. Now, I understand. Humans do not survive because they are strong. They survive because they refuse to give up." More speeches followed. Dae-ho stood there, uncomfortable with the attention but also deeply moved. These beings had gone from seeing humans as strange to seeing them as brave. That was something. Finally, Nari approached with a box in her hands. "I have a gift," she said. She opened the box to reveal a piece of armor. It was made from scales, Veltari scales, woven together into a protective covering. It was designed to fit over a human's lower torso, exactly where humans were most vulnerable. "This is scale armor," Nari explained. "In my culture, we give our shed scales to those we wish to protect. I have adapted the design for human anatomy. It will protect your vulnerable areas while still allowing movement and comfort." Dae-ho touched the armor carefully. The scales were smooth and cool, each one perfectly placed. "This must have taken you days to make." 5 days, Nari confirmed. "While you recovered, I wanted to give you something meaningful. Something that shows I understand now. I don't know what to say. Say you will wear it. Say you will accept protection from a friend." Dae-ho took the armor and held it against his chest. It was beautiful, functional, and deeply personal. "I'll wear it. Thank you, Nari. This is incredible." She flushed that darker green again. "You saved the station. You showed us what courage looks like. This is the least I can do." After the ceremony, there was food and conversation. Dae-ho found himself surrounded by aliens who wanted to talk, to ask questions, to learn more about humans. But the questions were different now. Respectful. Curious, but not invasive. He answered what he felt comfortable answering. He explained human customs, human history, human hopes and dreams. And in return, he learned about other species, other worlds, other ways of living. Taemin found him near the end of the evening. "You started something. You know." "What do you mean?" "The report Nari wrote, the protocols she established. It's changing how the coalition sees humans. We're not just the newcomers anymore. We're the survivors. The vulnerable ones who refuse to stay vulnerable." That's a lot of weight to put on one awkward conversation. Maybe. But sometimes big changes come from small moments. Days turned into weeks. Dae-ho returned to his work, fixing gravity systems and maintaining equipment. But things were different now. When he walked down corridors, beings nodded to him respectfully. When he entered rooms, conversations didn't stop awkwardly. He was accepted. Not as a curiosity, but as a colleague. Nari became his closest friend on the station. They ate lunch together, worked on projects together, talked about everything from quantum physics to the best foods from their respective worlds. She still asked questions, but now she knew when to stop. One evening, 3 months after the incident, they sat in the observation deck again, watching the stars. "I have been thinking," Nari said, "about that first question I asked you. The one that started everything. What about it? I asked what was under your coverings. I thought the answer was physical, anatomical, but the real answer was much deeper." "Yeah?" Deho asked, smiling slightly. "Yes. Under the coverings is vulnerability, as you said, but also strength, courage, determination, humanity itself. You do not cover your bodies just to protect them. You cover them to carry the weight of being human." Deho thought about this. "That's pretty poetic for a scientist." "Science is poetry," Nari said. "The poetry of understanding how things work." They sat in comfortable silence, watching stars that had been ancient when both their species were still learning to make fire. "Do you think we'll ever truly understand each other?" Deho asked. "Humans and aliens, I mean." "We already do understand each other," Nari said. "We understand the important things. That every species has vulnerabilities. That everyone deserves respect. That courage looks different for different beings. But it is always valuable." "When did you get so wise?" "When a stubborn human engineer taught me to ask better questions." A group of new arrivals was being given a tour of the station, and they passed by the observation deck. Deho saw their guide pointing at him. "That's Deho," the guide was saying. "One of the human engineers. He helped save the station during the solar flare incident." The new arrivals looked at him with interest and respect. One of them, a young being covered in what looked like feathers, waved shyly. Deho waved back. "You are famous now," Nari observed. "I guess so. You are also wearing the armor I made you." "I notice this." Deho looked down at his torso, where the scale armor was visible under his shirt. He wore it most days now. "Enware. We have wear created. And wear a clibe. Armor. Partly for protection, but mostly because it reminded him that vulnerability could become strength with the right friends. Of course I'm wearing it. It's perfect. I am glad." Later, as Deho walked back to his quarters, he passed by a group of aliens, talking in a corridor. He heard snippets of their conversation. "The humans are remarkable. Survived radiation that would kill us in minutes." The one called Deho. He smiled to himself and kept walking. In his quarters, he looked at himself in the mirror. He saw a human in work clothes, wearing alien-made armor, living on a space station with beings from 40 different worlds. He saw someone who had started as an outsider and become a bridge between cultures. He thought about Nari's question again. What's under there? Under the clothes was a body, yes, vulnerable and fragile and human. But also under there was everything that made humanity human. The stubbornness to survive, the courage to risk everything, the determination to reach the stars despite every reason to stay on the ground. Under there was evolution, millions of years of struggling and adapting and refusing to give up. Under there was culture, thousands of years of learning to protect what mattered most. Under there was hope, the hope that despite being small and vulnerable in a vast, dangerous universe, humans could still make a difference. Deho smiled at his reflection. "What's under there?" he said to his mirror image. "Everything that matters." Outside his window, the stars burned bright and endless. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home, the world that had built him to survive anything. And here he was, surviving among the stars, making friends with beings who once saw him as a mystery. The mystery was solved now, but the adventure was just beginning.